What event did happen that you had to be at?
The one just now, 6 and 7. Like, what a gnarly event.
What was it? I haven't seen anything.
It was skiers into bar work and then burpees.
It was like a 2-round.
A lot of burpees. Just Adler.
Oh, how's he doing?
Yeah. He's hanging in there. I mean, it's, you know what, it's a really competitive men's field. And
he's top 10 for right now, for sure.
yeah, he was like 5th going in, but it's just ping-ponging all over the place. It really is kind of wild for these athletes on where they were and then where they are, and it just bounces all over, and it just shows, like, with one day to go, there's no way you can predict who's going to win.
Oh, no.
Even be on the podium.
Yeah. No, this is one of the tighter races, even on the women's side. I mean, I know Tia's winning, but she's not running away with it at this point. Like, she doesn't have an insurmountable gap because we have a whole day tomorrow. So.
I know. I you know, one of the things that you, as a fan, and let's face it, I am a massive fan of hers. I mean, what she is doing in terms of human performance and pushing the boundaries is like, it's remarkable. And if she leaves the sport, we lose that momentum. But you know what's interesting is that we saw a shift. We're seeing these younger kids come up, and they're showing levels of talent that's like, there's the bar. And that's cool.
How many years do you think she'd win? If she think she gets to 10? Because this would be 8, I believe.
This would be 8?
I watched her in that run, event 1, and it was effortless. And here she was 4th place overall. You know,
she was like running. Yeah, she ran probably faster than she's ever run. Like,
yeah, it's like so.
She's a cyborg.
Well, I mean, there's something about that, right? That you reach this genetic ability age somewhere in your like early to mid 30s. That metabolically. And so, like, that's why marathon runners are in their, 30, 34, 35 years old.
Powerlifters as well.
Is it different?
Is that true?
Yeah, well, it's powerlifters is even a little bit older. Typically.
That's really interesting.
Training
Right?
sport 47 is the peak because I'd like to find that sport.
Bro, so I'm waiting for my second peak. So your
What's
first
next?
one's probably coming.
Yeah, is it? I'm ready. So obviously we're rolling. We're here with Chris.
Oh, we are?
Yes,
Yeah,
we've been
no,
going.
no.
We didn't waste any time.
This
Yeah, we're good.
episode's all about why you hate CrossFit and think everybody should do Hyrox. Is that
No,
correct?
that's not what it's all about. I find what really is interesting, though, is being honest about it, is that there, for the first time, is an incredible influx of new participants, new memberships into affiliates because of Hyrox.
So, I mean, we asked you, I mean, we spoke, and one, you're going to be one of the keynotes at Affiliate Con, plus many other things. You're doing some breath. Cody, I've told Chris he can have every spot he wants.
No, it's not.
Yeah, all the
It's
spots.
just a 2-day workshop.
It's a 2-day workshop.
with
that we're
Hinshaw.
calling- no, but you got at least 2 or 3 spots. You're going to lead some workouts. And I say this with all sincerity. Like, Cody was like, I'm like, I appreciate you. I reached out, hey, we're going to do this thing. You're like, I'm in. Tell me what you want. And I couldn't be more appreciative.
Thank you.
For doing something. Like, you always
I'm
support
too.
us for
Yeah.
everything we do, and it really means a lot. So
I appreciate
thank
that,
you.
too.
And we would do anything for you. Even Nate's going to figure out how to do the overlay when we get to that the first time.
Yeah, it's the first time he's ever done
I
that.
think we were talking with Panchik yesterday, and we want to talk a little bit more about Hyrox because he believes, and I'm anxious to see what you're going to say. Like, do CrossFit. It's going to benefit your Hyrox, right? Mm-hmm. So let's talk about what was your first introduction to Hyrox?
Oh, boy, 3 years ago. I've been really...
Have you done a Hyrox event?
I have not.
Okay.
But I've been to many of them. What I saw was a lot of similarities, and obviously it was born out of CrossFit
For
gyms.
sure.
And what I really find appealing about it, though, is it's catering to a new demographic of individual, and that individual is primarily coming from that endurance running type background because, ironically, half of the total amount of time in a Hyrox for the average individual is running. And so
I
a
would say
runner...
More, no? It's what, 5 miles when you're done?
Yeah,
is it
so
5?
It's 8,000 meters, so 5 miles. But what's appealing is that right away a runner is looking at it and they're like, I'm not intimidated by it. That the entry point, because of the amount of running, they're looking at it as like,
It's only 5 miles.
And it's the same thing like triathlons, right? In the early days when I did triathlons, there weren't really that many good swimmers, right? They mostly came from running backgrounds. And so they're looking at it, it's like, Kona was 2.4 miles, and it's like, I could do that. Like, I could train myself to do that.
I didn't know that. I didn't realize that most people were. I mean, obviously, it makes sense now you say that, but like, most people were not good swimmers in the early days for triathlons.
No, they weren't.
There weren't
swimming-
like swimmers weren't making their way into triathlon, whereas more the opposite, where you'd have like runners, maybe some cycling. Like, oh, I'll learn to swim.
Yeah, because it wasn't much. Like I always felt like I came from a swimming background, and I never understood like what's the purpose of even having the swim. It's not fair. It's like the bike ride takes 5 hours. The run takes 3.5 hours, and then the swim is like 48 minutes. And
Yeah.
you're like, why even have it?
Oh yeah.
The balance of it. And so, but it made it so that the average person who wasn't good at swimming, it makes it like, that's reasonable.
Right.
Yeah.
I could do that.
You know,
And so,
120 miles a bike is not reasonable, but
It is compared to someone who's not swam. Like, you'd be faster to be able to bike 120 miles.
no, because they have a cutoff. And so if you don't
Yeah.
make it by like, I think 2 hours, you're out
yeah,
anyway.
you're out. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Okay, but going to what you're saying also, a CrossFitter sees Hyrox and like, well, I can do that.
that's what's interesting. So I've gotten, because of my relationship, I've gotten to know so the aerobic capacity course for Hyrox was approved at the U.S. National Championships in 2023. And then last March, they brought me to Berlin and we filmed their online course. Their level 1 is online. And
I was just looking at that like a month ago. I didn't realize the amount of training assets they have.
It's incredible.
Inside their platform. Like
Oh my
they've,
God.
they've
Hyrox does?
Yeah,
It's
dude.
so
like,
awesome.
I've seen
The other thing you said earlier about bringing in new people, like it's I'll lead this with, it's a little frustrating. However, it is what it is. But they effectively created probably the best entry into CrossFit that you could have.
because they learned, right? This is what it appeals to me about what they're doing is they're some people will say they're really moving slow, like the infrastructure, but it's like, no, what they're doing is they're observing. Like, for example,
They're not moving slow at all. That's a $100 million company.
No, but what I'm talking about is if you look at like the different programs they have going, take their
Yeah.
education. They have a level 1.
Right.
Where's all the other programs? And so, like, if you look at CrossFit, for example, people take a level 1 and then they right away, the next thing that everybody did was they took a level 2.
Right.
But CrossFit had all these specialty courses too. But you didn't have to take a specialty course. It was kind of optional. But what
It's
if
a benefit.
what if you had a mandatory CEU count in order to take a level 2? And the only way to get a CEU was by taking a specialty course under the CrossFit umbrella. That there's more ways for them to create greater education,
Right.
but also to keep them in the
Right.
pool. So those things, they're valuable. They're important.
They just partnered with Peloton too.
Yeah.
Hyrox did? Wow.
But I think that their growth, like I heard, so like the New York City event, I heard that they spent $1 million on that venue. $1 million. And I heard that the first time they did it, they lost money. And it was because they underestimated like the market. And I hear next year, instead of just doing 3 days, there's enough demand to fill that for 9 days continuous.
They went from
9 days.
triple the duration.
Could you imagine?
9 days of running
events,
that event.
Bang, bang.
Wow.
That's
no,
crazy.
That's a lot.
It's really impressive.
Okay, so you find Hyrox. Was it founded by CrossFitters?
Yeah, there was. Yeah, that background was in
was
CrossFit.
some
Yeah, out of
CrossFit in there?
Germany. Yep.
Let's explain. I've heard it. I don't know. I couldn't repeat it. What is the actual race?
So what you're doing is you're doing 1,000-meter run intervals, and interspersed between those 1,000-meter run intervals are various obstacles, and those
And it's
obstacles.
always the same.
It's always
Yeah, it's
the
always the
same.
same.
And so what they do a really exceptional job is the experience for the athlete. First of all, they're setting off heats every 10 minutes for 48 hours. And there's never an interference when you are moving through, going from the run into the obstacle where you're sitting and waiting for a piece of equipment. Imagine that. So the first piece of equipment that you go into is a ski erg. So you take
You
off,
run 1K,
and then you go into 1,000-meter on the
and
ski.
they must just have like a. I've never seen an event. Just a lot of ski ergs.
Yeah,
and
but
you, someone directs you to one.
they do, and they feed you in. So the first person into that station, it's just like here, they will get ski erg number 1, and then they backfill this way. But what's interesting about it is 10 minutes later, there's another heat. Well, how do you know the finishing times of the people that are running, and how do you have enough equipment to be able to manage it so that you're not just sitting there going,
How do they do that?
that's what's impressive. I don't know. It's really
That's
you'd
just
have
data,
to,
right?
That's data to figure out what the exact staggering.
Well, you assume if someone got there
intervals would have
first,
to
they're
be.
not going to still be there, right? So there's
Well, they shouldn't be, but you don't know that, right? Like,
because let's say you wanted to walk your run. They don't know
no,
that.
but they know Hunter McIntyre, who I believe has the record, right?
no, not anymore. But he was up there for a while.
But somebody at
yeah.
his pace, if he gets
Look at
to,
you.
if he gets,
I like loosely pay attention to it, but like,
if he gets to skier 1, 2, or 3, he's not going to be there in 10 minutes.
well, he's not.
But I'm saying they know that about enough people. In other words, if you get to one of the higher skiers, you're also not someone that's going to go easy.
Yeah, okay, but I was in the one in London at the Olympia like a couple months ago, and there was 2 guys in turnout gear, firefighters in turnout gear.
But they're
had
not running fast either.
right, and so they have to be accommodated.
Oh, you mean like they're actually going to get laps
I guess
at some point?
actually, now that I think about it, you would just need to know the heat sizes and what those intervals roughly look like, and then you would just need to have essentially whatever your safety number is.
Yeah,
So
but
let's just
extra.
say, yeah,
Right,
let's
the
say
over-
that,
your buffer.
Yeah, what your buffer was. Let's just say it was 10 people per heat. You know, they're going to be roughly 10-minute intervals. Well, they should be gone. In the event that they're not, we would want to have 15 ski ergs available. So we would be +5 in that at all times. If you really want to go nuts, you could put 20 in there.
How far is the ski?
1,000.
1,000.
So it's 1K run, 1,000, 1K ski, 1K run.
Then you go into sled push, and
yeah.
then another 1,000, and then a sled pull.
Yeah, they had a sled push
Is it the
scandal.
same sled? What was the scandal?
Like it was the same thing they do at the games. Just like one lane just
Or-
won't go,
is
or
it
one
the
lane's
same,
faster.
Same set of sleds, or are they different sleds?
It's the same thing. They have a whole series of sleds,
Yeah.
but it's
But one
the,
has,
it's the
like-
carpeting that they're pushing it on, and it's a very tacky. It's the same thing. Like that's well said. Like it's at the games. If your lane had like the logo in it, the paint, that was going to be gummy.
Right.
And it's like, yeah, you were looking. It's like great. You know, I happen to be in second place, but I'm in the worst lane.
Was that the common denominator for those?
Bro, you know that. Everybody knows that.
I didn't. You just told me. I
Yeah.
never thought about
No,
it.
the
But
paint
that
was
makes
bad.
sense now. Yeah, yeah.
Which event
Okay.
are you talking about?
Well,
Anytime-
any event there was
anytime
paint
there's
on
paint.
the turf or the grass.
Oh, so, okay, the push pull. What's the 4th and 5th? I know there's wall balls in there somewhere.
So then you go into the 1,000-meter row. So after the push, the pull of the sled, then you have burpee broad jump, and then you have the row, then you have a farmer's carry into a walking lunge into the wall ball.
So
The wall balls last.
There's
Yeah,
8
okay.
runs. Is that right?
Yeah. So 8 runs, 8K, 5
5
miles.
miles. Wow. Okay. So let's go from here. I think a lot of CrossFit affiliates are finding some success offering Hyrox programming. If you are the expert in this field, someone wants to improve their Hyrox time, they just do the race every day over and over and over again.
That's what's so really interesting is that I look at what Hyrox is doing in terms of a model, because a lot of people will say I'm one and done. I'm going to do one and then what's the point? It's because it's the same thing over again, and it's not like you're experiencing like when you run a marathon. If you run the London Marathon, the experience is different than the New York Marathon, which
Right.
is different than Boston. And so a lot of times people will do destinations there, but if you're in an indoor venue, how do you get people to come back? And their numbers are incredible. Like people, when they do one, they typically will do 4.
Well, I have neighbors. This is like travel the world doing Hyrox.
Well, so they're making it into a destination. That's why they're going to incorporate kids into it, because the husband, the wife, and now they're going to do a kids event. And so it's like, no, this is a destination. This is our vacation.
And they do teams, right? So that's cool. Individuals. Do you think eventually they're going to have like Hyrox 2.0?
And imagine what that could be. Like if they took this, imagine they take this outdoors and they go to a downtown. And instead of doing a circuit for your 1,000, it's a city block. And in the center of the intersection is where the obstacle sits. And then you do another city block,
Yeah, you're moving
like a
around the
takeover.
city.
It's like
It'd
what's
be
that
so
car
rad.
race Marcus was talking about that happens in the city?
Well, F1 happens in downtown Vegas now.
Oh, that was that one.
Yeah, yeah.
So, but going back to what I said,
Yeah.
someone wants to. improve their Hyrox, what do?
Well, so my point is that what as a gym owner, what you need to realize is that they're not just one and done. If you are interested in training for a Hyrox event, the training for the run is straightforward, right? Especially if you have a running background. It's like, okay, I know what to do, but then how do you train for the obstacles? Like, what's the most logical, reasonable place? And it is a CrossFit gym. It's the most logical place for anybody to go. The thing about it is that if CrossFit affiliates aren't aware of this athlete, meaning when they come in the door, of the value of them, because what Hyrox is doing is they want to get that athlete to do event number 1, but they also want them to do 2, 3, and 4.
Yeah.
This athlete, when they show up in that gym, they're basically saying, I'm going to be here for a minimum of 1 year. That's incredible. Imagine you have somebody that's captive for a year, that you have the ability to tell them what you're all about.
Wait, then my first thought is, they'll stay for 3.
Oh,
Right?
if
It's
you've
like-
got somebody
That's
for
it.
a year,
Right.
Yeah, the numbers on that is
Even
most
when they're done
gyms,
with Hyrox, they'll.
Yeah,
you know.
most gyms are going to have their highest attrition rate around 6 months, somewhere between like 5.4 to 6.3 months. If that would be something where, with good confidence, if you're saying statistically speaking that if they do 1, they do 4, and they're like, well, they're going to want to train for it.
Right. It's like the number's massive. It's in the 90s on they're doing 2. Because typically they'll do a team of 2.
Yeah.
And then eventually it's like,
And then how often, like roughly, are they happening?
well, so it depends. So that's also part of the problem that they're having is that in certain geographic locations, it's 1 a year. Unless
Right.
you want to travel.
Right,
well,
right,
most
right.
people don't have that ability
Yeah,
to travel.
Yeah, they haven't even come to Denver yet. Like
No.
the people in my neighborhood, I think they've gotten to Boston.
Yeah, they've not
New
been to
York,
Virginia
and, like,
Beach.
international somewhere.
Right.
They're not going to come to Virginia Beach.
Dude, Virginia Beach is one of the most active cities
They're going
in
to
the
100%
U.S.
come to Denver before Virginia Beach.
Virginia
but
Beach
okay.
has qualifiers
Let's have a
for the
bet.
Boston
Let's have a
Marathon.
bet.
It's like one of the biggest.
Let's bet right here. The loser has to do a Hyrox.
Done.
Okay, if they come to Denver first,
I'm
you
going to
have
call
to do
them this
one.
afternoon and set it up.
And if, I'll team up with you because I'm a team player. Let's do a team one.
I want to win.
Well, nice.
You're
Nice.
gonna,
Well,
you know
he's
those
about
little
to tell us
short
how
legs?
to train. He's going to tell. I know it's like set up an event, the opposite of what I'm good at. Run 8K, wall ball, skier. It's
Sled
all
push,
tall
yeah.
people stuff.
Yeah.
Like so you're saying
No, but so back to that, though, if you think about it. Look at
who do you think
Ironman.
would
Look
win?
at
Who
Ironman.
would win
Look at
the
Ironman
Hyrox,
Corporation.
The two of us? Who would win?
Bro, I'm not, come on. No.
This isn't even a question, dude.
But you know what? If give me a little bit of time with you, and you never know.
A lot of time, Chris.
You know what would be nice if you
Sure,
guys
eight.
partnered and you just all like, let's go.
Yeah, that's what I'm
Right.
going to do. It. I don't care about winning. I just care about making him look bad.
Right, let's go.
Yeah,
You're
let's
just
go.
dragging. Meanwhile, you have
Well,
to
I'm
do all
used
the
to that,
obstacles.
so we're good.
No,
Is
so
it-
I look at Ironman, and like back in the day, Ironman Corporation was owned by a woman. Her name was Valerie Silk, and one of the things that she realized early on was that the brand was really valuable. But if we don't partition off this brand, meaning if we just do Kona, then the world's never going to have an opportunity to
Yeah.
actually see the value of what we're actually offering. And so in my era, what they did was they created 5 different Ironmans. There was one in Germany, there was one in New Zealand, they had Canada, there was Japan, and it forced, and the way they did it was there was points pools, and you had to compete in these different locations in order to accumulate points for the end of the year prize money. And so the professionals were traveling. Well, I don't know how many years later it was, 15 years later, I think it sold for $650 million
Did it really?
because of the navigation in throughout the world. And that's where this could be is that.
Well, then they made halves and then Olympics and
Of
sprints.
course, but
yeah,
it was
so they have
all
4
under the
versions.
brand.
Yeah.
And people, like, even though there's plenty of triathlons under different brands, there's some prestige associated with that name. And it's the same
People
thing.
tattoo it on their body.
Yeah, I didn't. I thought about that. I don't have a tattoo, but it
There's
was
still
like,
time.
I think that
It's
if
too
I
late. It's too far gone now.
no, but if I make the Olympics, I think that I would get the rings. That would be about it.
Are
Like,
you
that would
still
be cool.
trying for the Olympics?
I told you, my second peak's coming.
I was like, is there a Masters Olympics I don't know about?
Bro, easy does it. So I'll tell you the
I'm
truth.
in.
So
I'm
during
going to represent Israel right now.
no, during COVID, this is a true story. So during COVID, I started running a lot, and Adidas sent me a pair. There was a half marathon, and a female named Perez. She just set the world record in the half marathon. And she showed this shoe as this pink shoe, and Heidi, my wife, she contacts Adidas, and she's like, "What are those shoes?" You know, she has like people, she knows these people, and they sent 2 pairs to us when we were in Tennessee, and well, my pair was pink. And I'm like, I'm not wearing the pink shoes. And she's like, it's a world record-setting shoes. I'm like, so I ran at like 10 at night, you know, in Tennessee, and in these shoes. But when I ran with them, it was like, I've never had a pair of shoes that I wanted to do something for time. And I had been doing a class for Mayhem. We ran twice a week outside during that time, and I had an 800-meter loop. And so at the end of this 5-mile run, I decided I'm going to run this half mile like for time. And I ended up running this thing, and I ran like 2:37.
You ran at 2:37 recently?
This was like 3 years ago.
That's
fairly
fast.
recent.
And it wasn't even training hard, right?
And it was after 5 miles.
Right, breaking in these shoes for the first time. And so I'm like, I went back, and I'm like, that gets me all fired up. And I'm like, I wonder what.
It's like a little kid. These shoes are faster in these shoes.
But now I'm looking online, and I'm like, I wonder what like Masters, you know, track and field times
That just
were.
happened in Alabama. My buddy ran.
Really?
The Masters Nationals, yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, then they have Worlds.
It was
and
in Huntsville.
Really?
Yeah, because I was telling Cody about it because he lives in Huntsville.
I was just in Birmingham.
He did the 2 and the 4, I think. Yeah.
So it's a big deal. Well, anyway, so I look and I'm like, it was like to podium at Worlds, it was 5:16 for the mile to get 3rd place. And I'm like, if I drop 10 pounds, that's 10 seconds. Because I then tested a mile.
20 then.
I know.
What's your fastest mile ever?
4:28. I wasn't very good though. Like my running.
What's your best event?
Swimming by far.
Oh.
Yeah.
What was your best? What's like if we're like, what is the event you were the best at and your best time in life?
Swimming was.
What? But like specifically.
Oh, 200 back.
What'd you get?
I don't remember. I don't know.
Not Olympic level.
Oh no. I was nowhere near
But
that.
backstroke?
Backstroke. No, I was very late in developing. I was a small kid.
Me too. I'm still waiting. Soon.
A growth spurt.
Soon.
There's time. It's coming.
So okay.
Wait, can I tell you my hopper story? This is really
like
actually
the CrossFit
funny.
hopper? Like
Yeah.
Okay.
No, Jason Hopper.
Jason
Oh,
Hopper.
Jason Hopper. I thought
So this is kind of funny.
so OG I am. I went right to the hopper.
No, so O'Keefe puts me in touch with him. We were at that Las Vegas event during COVID, and O'Keefe is there. We do the run that they did a long run that event with sandbags and stuff, and so I did it with O'Keefe, and he's all, hey man, you know, I'm working with this kid Hopper, you know, Jason Hopper. He's this new kid up and coming. Would you just like do some running stuff with him out in the back parking lot and just do an assessment? Because I'd worked with Frazier, you know, during this time, and so I know O'Keefe really well. And so he puts me in touch with him. Hopper doesn't know anything about me. He just thinks I'm just a guy. And of course, Hopper is like, I'll do whatever O'Keefe says because he's new to the sport. And we go out there. I do all of this assessment of his running form, and then I give him some like drills in order to fix the things that I saw. Well, that led into some programming pieces. And then he comes out to stay with us before his first CrossFit Games. He stays with us in Cookeville because he wasn't that far away. And we decide to go to a lake to go for a swim. And this Bob Franks, he puts up on the lake, he owns his house, and he puts up the buoys, and he puts them every 50 meters apart right along the shoreline. And he puts them so it's 650 meters down and then 6 back. And what I was doing was teaching him essentially sighting and how to turn around a buoy. That was the plan. So the buoys are out there, and he's in his suit, and we're on the dock, and he's like, okay, you know, like, what's the plan? I explained the plan to him. And he's like, getting ready to jump in. I'm like, dude, hold on. And he's like, what's up? And I'm like, well, I got to get my, I'll do a deck change and let me get my suit on. He was like, wait, no. Like, and he was so concerned about my well-being. He's like,
this old guy's gonna die.
He's like, do you realize how far it is? We're going to the end there. That's like 650 meters. I'm all, no. And I didn't know he didn't know. And I'm like, yeah, no, I know. We're
Do
going
you
to
know
go.
who I am?
We're going to go down and back.
Yeah,
and
you're
he's
an
like,
old guy.
He's like, no, but he's all, I'm not going to wait. And I'm like, oh my God.
I'm
Like,
gonna smoke you. So what happened?
You said, In fact, you are not going to wait. You will not be waiting on anybody, my friend.
Well, because normally I would give him a pair of fins, but he has such, like his foot's already big enough where he doesn't need fins. And so it was like.
Now you're definitely not giving this dude fins.
So did you smoke them?
No, well, because I don't want to do that because it was so close to the games. The last thing I need to do is
Some man beat me, I
deflate
can't
him.
swim, yeah.
No, but I mean, I did a lot of, kicking on my back while he swam. While I give him critiques, but it was like
I'm gonna swim ahead and then just wait for you.
it was so awesome though. Like I taught him during that time, and he's such a good guy. Like when I taught him how to dismount off of a bike because he hadn't done this stuff before, and I've ridden a lot of And I teach you how to get off the bike fast and to be able to run with the bike and how to push the bike and navigate. So the first time he does it, he fully crashes on the street. And I'm like, oh my God, and I've never seen anybody crash. But he had just never done it. He was a football player. And so we just did a bunch of.
Is it a road bike? What kind of bike was it?
It was a mountain bike.
Yeah, oh,
yeah,
okay.
ruined my mountain bike.
He's doing well this year.
Oh, he's a machine.
He's doing really well.
We haven't answered this. How would someone train for Hyrox?
What you would do is honestly, you have to realize this, that the run does represent 50% of the equation. And so the run does matter. It really does matter. And the problem also is that it's a lot of compromised running. And this is where CrossFitters have an advantage because CrossFitters rarely run fresh. They just don't. And they never are fully tapered. They'll sharpen for a games, but it's not like they're tapering like a normal track and field or even a triathlete will taper. And so compromised running is something that most runners aren't familiar with. And what I mean by that is, how good are you when you come off of doing, 3 minutes of burpee broad jumps?
Right.
You're not going to be able to feel the way that you normally think that you should feel. And so most runners aren't even aware of that. CrossFitters, they're familiar with that in multitudes of movements.
Yeah.
And so they have
hamstrings, quads.
They have a better
jump
game
rope.
plan.
Yeah, jump rope, everything. Yeah.
And so compromised running it's essentially, you have to realize that just because you're a good runner, it doesn't mean that you're necessarily prepared for what you're about to experience. And so a CrossFit gym does provide opportunity to be able to do that. The other thing that it does, and this is the area that I think about with CrossFit athletes when they try a Hyrox for the very first time, they look at the obstacles and they're like, that's easy. There's not a single thing in there that's challenging. Women are doing 14-pound wall balls, and it's like, wait, I'm used to doing 20-pound wall balls and the target heights, and so they're not intimidated by those things. But a runner, they look at those things and it is a big deal. And so the confidence comes into it for the population who is initially looking at that sport and they're going, the runner community, and they're like, wow, there's a lot of things that I have to prepare for.
Yeah.
Not a CrossFitter. A CrossFitter is just looking at it and they're saying, I just have to be able to manage the volume.
CrossFitters, I've purchased hundreds of thousands of dollars of equipment in my life. I've been doing CrossFit since 2007. I've owned 4 affiliates. I currently own an affiliate in my basement. And let me tell you this, Rep Fitness is by far my favorite equipment. First of all, it's amazing quality. The price is right. And what I love is I talk to somebody that I know, that knows me, and that understands my needs. Now, cool thing is, as a family member of Best Hour, you can save big over at Rep Fitness. Go to repfitness.com/best hour and save on your next equipment purchase.
All right, guys, if you like this content, please subscribe to the podcast, but understand we work with affiliates. If you are interested in building your business, understanding strategy, building a better community, and building better coaches and careers for them, hit the link somewhere around this video, and we'd love to have a call with you.
Oh, what you're saying right now is the Hopper model from the What is CrossFit lecture, or from the What is Fitness lecture. That's what it is.
That's why it's so appealing is that if a gym doesn't embrace the sport, they're missing out on a huge segment of upside, because running was it was the top growing sport last year, and you look at the sport.
Running was?
Yeah, it was the amount of people coming into it in terms of numbers was bigger than any other one coming in, new activity.
That's interesting.
And so Hyrox, so they just did a poll in the UK, and I don't know the number of events, but that they're doing. It could be, I don't know how many they're doing next year, but they looked at the number of people who want to compete in the UK, and the UK market is massive for that.
For Hyrox?
For Hyrox.
Yeah.
And they realized that even with the number that they are offering next year, there is double the population that want to compete.
I mean, that's a great business model to have crazy demand.
Yeah.
Right, but that says a lot, doesn't it?
Right.
That here, the population that they have wanting to compete, that population's not going to be satisfied until when? 2027?
22 years out from now.
Right. But
So
but
if you were
the
at a CrossFit gym, how would you program?
He won't answer the question.
So how would I program? What I would do is I would actually focus on the basics. I would back off on the complexity of workouts and make it very simple. And what's nice is that you, instead of programming RX, which we're used to, you could take the protocols that are referenced by the gender and age groups within the Hyrox event and use those loads. So for example, do you have a 10-pound ball? Then you can build programming around that 10-pound ball. If you were doing it, and let's say that you had
Is that the weight for the...
some age groups.
Oh, that's an
some
age group weight.
groups.
Got it. Okay, got it.
So you could have 14-pound ball. You could have, and the most it will go up to is 20-pound ball. But
Okay.
you can just, the wall ball being really the hardest obstacle, because one, it comes at the end, and it makes it easy. Because now what we're doing is, you want to compete in Hyrox, what we have to do is get you comfortable with the load. Let's just talk wall ball. The load, the weight of the ball, and we have to get you comfortable with the reps, 100 reps. And so makes it really simple, right?
Yeah.
It's a known event. So in terms of programming, and this is what I tell people.
That's the key, I think.
Once we know the event.
Yeah.
And it makes it, we're not doing unknown and unknowable. It's like, no.
I can train directly for this task.
And that's what needs to happen. And it will make it easier for a gym to target, because they just look at what the knowns are. And we build programming around those two variables.
I would argue you wouldn't even necessarily need to build well, it would all be programming. You could do this without changing your programming at all, and you can just add accessory or supplementary work that would start to drip in some of that volume, or maybe some like short intervals. You wouldn't have to do it in huge bursts, because a lot of it you should be doing in well-varied program anyway.
Right, but if you're doing Hyrox programming and you're looking at just a couplet, you're going to run into an obstacle and multiple intervals of that.
Right.
But that's what makes it easy.
Right,
is that
correct.
Because there's only 8 of these obstacles, and all you have to do is vary the running in there.
Right.
And that's what is appealing to me, is that it's very simple for a new athlete who is just walking into affiliate to wrap their head around. It's like, oh, I see the connection between this workout and what my goal is.
You could do some slight variations of that. You could do that once a week and it would be sufficient. If you know how to look at programming, how to design, and how to kind of put things together, you wouldn't need to do any drastic overhauls of your program. You could put one day a week in there and then start to marry the adjacent workouts to that.
Yeah.
In order to have something that would look like a periodized kind of peak and then taper. It wouldn't be hard.
No, it's the same thing like you see in gyms, where it's like they have for the next 8 weeks, we're going to be working on double unders.
Right.
And that's what we're going to be focusing on, and we're going to be, and I see a lot of Hyrox type programming where it's on a Saturday morning. Where we're going to do
longer.
That's what Patrick said.
Yep.
So
you put wall balls at the end of the workout a couple times a month.
Yeah.
Right, like a big set of 50. Like the workout ends with 50. Like that's one way to just start addressing that.
So a lot of gyms that are, because Panchik agreed, but it's like, do CrossFit and you'll prepare yourself for Hyrox. But you're suggesting do CrossFit with some slight tweaks for those that are preparing for Hyrox.
Yeah, because you watch. So here's the problem: is that CrossFitters, especially like at Panchek's gym, is that there's a heavy focus on the movement standards and the precision involved in a lot of these movements. And the movements that are in Hyrox, generally, they're very simplistic movements.
Right.
There's not a lot of complexity
push this
with
thing,
them.
pull this thing.
Right.
Farmer's carry,
Right.
walk,
Right.
burpee.
Then
And
the burpee
wall
broad
ball.
jump probably has some standards in the wall ball.
Right, and so one of the things that a Hyrox athlete struggles with is like, wait, so I go to this gym and I have to do 2 weeks of PVC? I want to do stuff. And so there needs to be a slight shift because they already have a background with, like, let's say running, that they have a fitness background. They're not starting from scratch.
Right.
They're not safe enough to do heavy lifting, but they're safe enough to do some of these lower skill types of workouts. And that's where we need to be treating them slightly different.
That makes sense.
So that they could get some juice right away.
So you come to Affiliate Con. You'll get access to this October 24th, 26th, because you're going to be presenting there multiple.
Yeah, really, but this is like important. I mean, I do really appreciate it, and I feel like if you are presenting there, it's a huge opportunity to share with the community something of value, but you got to deliver. And so,
Right.
yeah, one of the things that we were talking about was to help people, help affiliates, help athletes better understand their goals, and if they've done a Hyrox, how can they actually get better?
Yeah.
And the holy grail in programming these days is what we call an athlete-centered model, where you're taking your prior results and you're looking at those results and you're comparing it to a goal, and you put the programming together around those two variables. The problem is that, let's just say you've never done a Hyrox before.
Mm-hmm.
How do you even know what your targets need to be if
Right.
you're going to try and train
How
for
do I
it?
even establish what this would look like?
And so that's where, like, being a math, I really, a spreadsheet.
He's a mathlete.
I really like a good spreadsheet, and so I wrote some Python code a couple of years ago, and I extracted all the data out of Hyrox's website for the purpose of looking at the age groups, the gender, and the divisions that they competed in. And I wanted to use that to take someone's predicted finishing time to be able to tell them what their target times would be for each of the 1,000 meter runs, along with all of the obstacles. And so what I mean by that is, let's say that you've never done one, right? I would ask you, what would be your projected finishing time?
I have no idea.
So like 54 minutes, right?
Well, that'd be the world record, right?
So what would happen is that I would
5 miles, so I'm gonna run for 40 minutes.
yeah.
Okay,
But do you have,
2
okay,
hours.
so here's what you have to know, but you have to think about it this way, is that if you told me it's going to take me 80 minutes, you have to think about you're on your feet for 80 minutes. That's like event one. Event one, at the games, it was a 4-mile run, 3K row, 2-mile run. Well, what is it? Are you training for a 10K run? 6 miles? Are you training for a 3K row? Or are you training for a 50-minute
when you
time
say 80
domain?
minutes, knowing like at wall balls you're gonna be tired.
You're still running, right? You're
Yeah.
still running. Let's say the wall balls take you 5 minutes. Well, at 75 minutes, you just finished running. So you can't just think of it as, I'm going to train for 5 miles.
You can't do your breakdown of a workout like you normally would because it's so long.
You have to think about the time on your feet.
Yeah.
That you're going to still be running on the 74th minute. And so you have to be aware of that. So let's just say that you predict 80 minutes. What I do is I take your gender, your age, which throws you into an age category, and then I take the division that you want to enter, and then I take your projected finishing time of 80 minutes, and based upon all of the prior results of people of your gender, your age group, and your division, I look at that finishing time, and I take the percentages of all the 1,000 meter runs, and I look at what would be your predicted times for each of those 1,000s to give you an idea of what you need to be training at in terms of your paces. Like, what would be your average 1,000 meter time? And that's important because if you don't train it, you're not going to be able to do it.
Hadn't you already isn't this very similar to the app that you already built that you were running? Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what I thought.
But you haven't.
I haven't been in there in a while, but it was kind of the same thing. It was like you had, if I remember correct, there was a test in, and then you had a target time, and then all your programming would be based on those 2 data points.
Yeah, so what you do is, so being honest, what I do is I actually now, in any type of cardio-based movement, if you give me one result, I can roughly predict what all your time domain intensities would be.
I just remember when you were talking through that, I remembered, because I've used that many times, those programs that you wrote.
Oh, thanks.
They work like clockwork.
Well, I mean, that's the whole key, right?
Yeah.
Like people always, I look at this sport now, and I coach TIA, and so the protocols
I use it to help to train a ton of guys for SF and special warfare programs too that needed to make time runs. And I was like, we're going to work off of these templates because I know for a fact you will make the times if we do this. Everybody made the times.
And that's the whole point, right? It's like, no, we're not just guessing. These are based upon your results. And so the confidence goes up. And it's your goal. So if you have someone that's like, no, you have this goal, but it's like you don't have the targets. You can't, there's a mismatch here. So we either need to change your goal or actually give more time to make that occur.
Right.
So what I do, though, within the Hyrox space is that I need to be able to give you target training paces based upon a projected finishing time. Because this thing about doing RPE in cardio-based movements it's riddled with challenges. And what I mean by that is, let's just say that I have you do a 20-minute run, and I want you to do it at an RPE of 3. But you've never done 20 minutes. So you're going to be starting at this relatively simple, easy intensity. You're probably going to be breathing through your nose. But as your muscles become fatigued, and because you've never done it before, what's going to happen is the slow twitch fibers are no longer going to be available because they've gassed out. Well, now your only thing to bring it home in that last 8 minutes, let's say, is your fast twitch fibers. So your breathing rate goes up. Well, you got to do RPE of 3. So then what do? You got to slow down.
Yeah.
So you started that 20 minutes fast, but how'd you end?
Slow.
And what did you teach yourself to do?
Slow down.
Run, slow down.
That's right. From a heart rate standpoint,
Right.
you were balanced, right? But the problem is that your muscles, which are the things that actually allow you to do that movement, ended up getting worse. And that's the problem that I have with a lot of this zone 2 now. Is like, I mean, it's a big buzzword, and I love that people are doing it, but are they doing it right?
Well, what makes it right?
Well, so like a zone 2, like first of all, what you should ask is like, how much, like if you're going to start out in zone 2, like what's the purpose of it and what's the targeted amount of time? And well, my feeling is that the purpose really in zone 2 is base building, foundation building. What we're trying to do is build up the structure, the bones, the ligaments, and the tendons so that you could take on more intensity. Well, at what point can you take on more intensity? And my feeling is that if you could do 20 minutes of zone 2, that you can do more high intensity. The structure's ready for something that's a little more challenging. The problem is this, that people will do their zone 2, and a quick way for people to do zone 2 is Maffetone's 180 minus your age. So you can just take 180 and subtract 40, make it easy for yourself. So you got a target heart rate of 140. You got to create a range out of that. So you subtract 5 and add 5. So 135, 145 is your zone. And what we're going to do is use heart rate to monitor our intensity. But what people need to realize is that heart rate is just how we're monitoring the intensity. When we train not only our cardiorespiratory system, but we also are training that neuromuscular system. It's for example, if you guys do a Hyrox event or you do a 5K, it's not like I'm ever going to ask you what was your average heart rate. I don't care. Because performance is based upon a finishing time. Performance is how fast your muscles allow you to start and finish. And so a lot of athletes, what they'll do is they'll do a zone 2, and when they get tired at the end of it, what they're going to do is they're going to end up trying to, like I said earlier, maintain that same heart rate from start to finish. But because they've never done it before, they started fast and ended slow. Their pace ended slow. That's not what we want. So, what CrossFitters do is like, well, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to maintain the same speed from start to finish. But when they get tired, let's say at 12 minutes, the heart rate's going to start to spike, and it's going to go above that 145 target that we just established. Well, what you have to realize is that when you go above that target, you're now going into zone 3, and that is not the purpose of a zone 2 workout. A zone 2 workout is to target cardiorespiratory, muscular stamina, fat adaptation, and you're not trying to recruit fast twitch fibers in a slow twitch dominant workout. You're not. And so here's what the problem is, and I'll just graphically tell you. So when you start this zone 2, what will happen is you're going to end up recruiting a small amount of slow twitch fibers that will allow you to match your speed. So let's just say you're doing 10-minute mile speed. You have a small amount of these slow twitch fibers. All your other fibers are resting. They're not doing anything. It's only these. So the brain is responsible for the recruitment of these motor units. Well, eventually, these muscles, these motor units are going to get fatigued and they're going to tire. The brain's going to shut them off, and now they're resting. But simultaneously, the brain's going to recruit new slow twitch fibers. You will continue moving at your 10-minute pace as you go through this zone 2. Those fatigue and fail, brain shuts them off, and it brings in new ones. Essentially, what you're going to do is you're going to move your way all around to where you now have this last available amount of slow twitch fibers. The average person has a ratio of about 50-50 fast twitch and slow twitch, all right? So none of your fast twitch fibers have been used. Here's the problem. When these fibers, these last slow twitch fibers fatigue and fail, the brain shuts them off, the brain goes to these original recruited fibers, and it's like, it's your turn, you gotta go back in the game. And they're like, bro, I can't. I've never had to go back in the game. I'm tired. I need more recovery. So they're not going to go back in. And when people, what they do is like, that's cool. Half of my arsenal of capacity is fast twitch. I'll just finish the last 8 minutes using fast twitch fibers. Boom. Fast twitch fibers get recruited. Breathing rate goes up. Heart rate goes up. I'm now into zone 3, and I just ruined my zone 2 workout because you know what you've taught your slow twitch fibers? You never have to go back in the game. I will always finish with fast fibers. What we want is to recycle slow twitch fibers over and over and over and over again until when? You encounter an obstacle that you have to use them, or you're getting close enough to the finish line where you need to use them to bring it home. And so when people are doing their zone 2, you have to realize what is the purpose? And the purpose is to give capacity, the ability to go long by forcing the fibers to go back in the game. And so that's the key. Now, the problem is...
Is the solution that to just to slow down or better pacing to start with?
So here's the problem. So a lot of people sit there and go, well, you just said I can't slow down. I get worse. And then going faster. So how do you actually...
This is what you taught us in Mayhem, where it's like now do the same movement with a lighter load.
That was a different thing. So in zone 2, here's the problem. Let's say you're out on a run.
That's lactic flushing,
lactate
right?
clearance, flushing. So you are out on a run and you got 8 minutes to go. All of a sudden you realize your heart rate, in this example, your heart rate just hit 146.
Right, so I can't walk because then I'm
No,
slowing down.
No, but you can walk because it's not running. Walking is the solution. You can walk because it's still slow twitch. I'm not driving home another speed.
Even though you're teaching yourself to slow down?
You're just walking. Right, it's not slow running.
Oh, I got you. It's a different movement.
Yes. So what you're going to do is you're going to walk, and the purpose of the walk is to give
so
these...
I was kind of right. It's
Yo,
similar
you got
to
it. No, bro, you could... What you want to do is you want to walk to give these fibers more time to recover. The question is how much more time? How do you know?
How do you know when they're ready to go again?
As soon as your heart rate hits the lower end of your range. So in this example,
135.
Boom, you're back into your same pace. And now you finish your workout. Your job is to do that without walking.
Oh, so you're going to go through those until you're like, hey, I don't have to walk anymore, and then I'll adjust it. Got it. Okay.
Okay.
That's
what does
why
this have to do with the programming for Hyrox?
No, so what you...
I could see where it has a lot to do with it. So this explaining this to your athletes is like, as you work through some of these training programs, this is how you're going to do it if you were going to supplement it with zone 2.
Because it's your heart rate. It's personalized. Yeah. It's your zone 2. You pick the speed. Your job, so I'll give you an example. So Adler started this. I've been working with Jeff for
probably like 4 years.
4 years now. Yeah, 4 years. Like he got 20th. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I started working with him. So when I started working with him, he had roughly like a 10.5-minute zone 2 pace. All right. So his heart rate was 146, 156
10.5 minute
per mile.
okay.
And now, I mean, last year was the last time we really like dove in and checked on it. But last year he was at a 650 per mile. So at the same maximum heart rate, and that's performance, right? So when people say, well, how do you know you're getting better? Well, what you're doing is your zone is remaining the constant. It's your speed that's the variable. So as you improve, let's say you make 20 minutes at a 10-minute mile. You can't just do that over and over. The body's already going to adapt to that. You're going to end up getting worse. I have to either increase the length, which is one option, or I keep the length the same, but I increase your speed.
While maintaining the heart rate.
That's correct.
Right, you're staying in the zone.
So what would happen is that you would drop from a 10-minute pace to a 9:45. If your heart rate hits that upper limit, then you got to walk. Your job is to now at a 9:45 pace do the 20 minutes without walking.
Mm-hmm.
Once you make the 20 without walking, then what you do is you drop it to 9:30. You progress in the targeted direction of the adaptation you're seeking.
Nate, you were doing this for a while, weren't you? Yeah. You did it for how long? Yeah.
He secretly learns a lot from you.
Yeah.
Did you learn that from me?
Yeah.
Bro,
He's just
You know what?
he's more than just a good camera
Just
guy.
anytime we travel, he's in the hotel. Yeah, he gets on the treadmill. He does it at the hotels.
And you saw, which is so, here's what's beautiful about, like this is where good coaching comes in. Like when it has to provide value. It has to resonate and motivate him. It's like, I'll give it a try, but if it doesn't deliver and it's not measurable, like you can't be tricked into something. It's like, no, I'm really actually faster. And so
How would you do this on the bike? Same thing?
I would do it on
C2 a lot.
RPMs. Oh, so C2, yeah, I would do it based upon, like, I do wattage, but I would do RPMs. So, I mean, I'm sorry, you said the Concept 2 bike?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah, I would do wattage.
And just same thing. Your wattage is the same as your
Yep.
mile per hour or
Yep.
mile time.
And if it's on, like, Echo or Assault bike, I would do RPMs.
RPMs.
Matter of fact, if I was going to prioritize movements, I would do running number 1 because it's supporting your structure.
And it's in the event.
Yeah, and then, but
For
even
Hyrox,
in
yeah.
any training, it would be like, if you could run, you should run because you've got to be comfortable with supporting your body weight, right, your structure. If you couldn't run, then absolutely you would do Echo bike or Assault bike.
I can run. I choose not to run.
Well said.
I would also choose not to run if I was you.
But a lot of people, like I do work with a lot of people, jiu-jitsu, and without question, in doing jiu-jitsu, you would do
Echo bike. Yeah.
Absolutely, just because of the number of muscles. And you would do it in the same way. So 20 minutes, you would try and make it at 1 RPM from start to finish. And if you hit the upper limit, then you just slow down, keep spinning. You got to keep the wheels moving, like you're walking.
Right.
After you make it 20 minutes, you would move up 2 RPMs. And that would be on the speed side, but the other side would be is keep the RPMs the same and go to 25. Now, I would never go, like Jeff never runs longer than an hour. Never. Just because of the sport.
Yeah, and you wouldn't need to. An hour is probably about as long as you're going to, and you'll know what you need to in an hour.
The problem is that someone like Jeff, the hour doesn't offer the stimulus that it once did, and so we've had to adapt by, like he does a lot of it on a stepper, like a stair climber.
Oh, okay. Just to change it.
Because it requires more strength.
Right.
Right, and so
it's more taxing in that environment.
Because you had a vest?
No, because I want it to be where the stride, like I don't want to have to worry about like stride, and the stepper is something where it's a different enough movement and it requires a higher recruitment of those slow twitch fibers, so you're going to move through them faster.
Yeah, because once you throw on load, people's gait changes, and
and that's why it's a bad thing. Like, I am a huge fan though of, and there's a lot of recent research on. Like I do a lot of stuff with firefighters, a lot. Matter of fact, I was at the World Police and Fire Games in Birmingham, first part of late June, early July, and I came from Arkansas, did 8 seminars in Arkansas just for fire, and I do prescribe walking with a ruck. Never more than 45 pounds for a man and 35 for a woman. And one, their turnout gear, they're carrying a load, but by doing a 45-minute walk, there is on lower level athletes a huge value in terms of the improvement that it provides from a cardiorespiratory adaptation, from a VO2 max aerobic capacity adaptation. The key is that they have to be aware of the load that they're carrying and the cadence that they're walking at, because there has to be purpose. And so if you think about it, when we were talking about zone 2, what you're doing is manipulating your load and your cadence so that you're within that zone 2 cardiorespiratory longevity adaptation. But you have to be focused on that. If you're just going out and doing mall walking, there's no intent. And maybe
Mall walking, you're dating yourself.
but maybe what's happening is that here you are, you're putting in all this time, but you're seeing no value because you have no purpose, you have no intent. And this takes it back to this calculator that we were talking about. What you need to know is if you're doing RPE of 3, you have to know what your speed is. What's your speed associated with that relative intensity, that rate of perceived exertion? And so what I do and what I will do when I speak is that everybody will have access to be able to not only put in their projected time, and now they can see all their 1,000-meter splits so they know what their fastest, because there is a gap between, in Hyrox, it's about an 80 to 90 second difference between your fastest 1,000-meter run and your slowest because of the obstacle that you're coming off of.
That happens.
Right.
And you've been out there longer. Yeah.
Right, and so you want to know that I have to train different speeds, but what speeds?
Yeah, these splits are going to change. It's not going to hold through all 1,000 of them. Yeah.
And so if you only train your average speed,
right,
then it's like, no, you're missing the boat.
Or try to train your fastest one, knowing that that's absolutely not going to happen in your last one. Now you're like, I'm behind pace. I'm not going to work. Instead of you're like, no, this is exactly where I should be. Or I'm like, I got a little left in the tank. I'll go ahead and pick it up a little bit now because I'm actually going to be ahead on these splits. Yep. Because there were real splits.
That's right.
Yeah.
And there were real splits based upon what? On your projection. And so that's also part that's very important, is that athletes, especially this generation of kids nowadays, it's like you need to involve them in the equation. You need to you can't just say, you're doing this. It's like, no. When you tell them, hey, listen, I'm going to write some stuff, but I need something from you. And what do you need? I need your projected time. So now they're involved in the writing of the workout. They're vested. And that's a very important part. You're not just shoving meaningless stuff. It's like, no. This is the real deal for you. So I'll give you an example. Like Cara Webb, I'll never forget when she asked me to help her, and I was driving on I-40 at the time, and she calls from Brisbane, and she asked me, if I would be willing to help her. And she had just lost, got second place at the games, and I asked her I said, I want to know, what's your goal? And there's many times when athletes just say, I just want a podium. I just want to be in the top 10. I just want to go, which is fine. But if you want to win, there's a different set of standards that you have to. And so she doesn't say that, though. She's like, I want to run sub-6 for a mile. And I'm like, I thought she was pulling my leg. And she says, no. I really do. And I said, no, but what about winning? She said, no, that's second. I'm like, well, why? She says, because if I do this, no one could ever take it away. It's a race against the clock, the race of truth. And that, if someone asked me, what was my achievement? It's like, I've run a sub-6 minute mile. I'm like, that was very appealing to me. I really like that. And so I'm like, yeah, let's go for it. And then so I'm out of curiosity, just before I hung up, I'm like, what's your current PR time for a mile? And she's like, it's 6:37. And I'm like, let's go for it. And the whole point was, who is it for me to say that dream is not valid? Mm-hmm. It's the same thing when an athlete tells me, I want to finish Hyrox in 80 minutes. Maybe they can do it. I'm all in until they prove to me they can't. Mm-hmm. And so we either need to adjust the goal or we need more time.
Right. Yeah,
and
one of them is off. We either got to push the timeline out to the right or we have to adjust the goal.
Right.
And then we'll do it again.
And who is it for me to say that Cara's dream isn't reasonable?
Yeah.
But did she get it?
She went 5:47 in 5 months.
Wow.
That's what we as coaches, we need them because it's your
It's not
goal.
a runner's build either.
No, she's got
Huge legs.
yeah.
Oh my God, I'll never forget when I saw her the first time. I'm like,
5:47, so she knocked 50 seconds off her.
and think about 5:47 when you go 5:47. You made it easy, didn't you? You weren't even like, you knew you had it after the first 400.
Yeah, you're like, I'm good.
Right, I got it. I mean,
I'll survive the last 400, but I'm good. Yeah.
All right, well, they're going to kick us out of here.
oh, so my point is this. You must actually get the athlete involved. Now, the other thing that they'll get in the affiliate is, let's say you have an athlete that's done a Hyrox before. They don't need the same model as you do. What we should do is offer them a level of precision, meaning I'm going to compare your prior results to the professionals. So what I did is I wrote the code, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to compare you against the pros because the pros actually pace things a little bit differently. The level of precision is there, and so they plug in all the results, and what we do is we provide them a level of feedback on their results of where they can improve in terms of the selection of the speeds that they actually executed. Did they start too fast, start too slow, along with the level of precision in the RPE types of workouts that they should be doing? Like, what are the 3 core speeds that you should be hitting to develop all your metabolic pathways and all your muscle fibers so that you don't leave anything behind? And that's what we're going to be giving the people that attend the lecture. I want to give them something of significant value where they can actually take it and apply it not just to themselves, but to anybody that comes in the gym. And that value is what's going to keep them coming back. Because imagine, instead of just going out for a run, it's like, no. You're going to do your run, and based upon the information I gave you and your goals, here's your target finishing time.
Mm-hmm.
You're going
Very individualized.
Yeah.
and that's how you're going to create value. That you look at the athletes that are here at the games and you want to know how they go year over year value. It's because of the level of accuracy and the personalization in the programming that they receive. But how do you program personalized workouts for somebody you've never met before? You need a tool.
Yeah, you need some data in
So
there.
if someone comes to AffiliateCon, they're going to get this.
Yes.
You're
They're
also
going to get 17 lectures over the course of those 2 days from Chris.
and you're going to run a Hyrox.
Presenting nonstop.
You're going to run a Hyrox style workout. We talked about that Friday.
Yep.
And
We're going to teach you one of the things that's really important is that when you're coming out of an obstacle and you're suffering, you're hyperventilating, what is your strategy to when the blood moves to the legs? You want to be able to have a game plan. And how long does it take for the blood, let's say, to move from upper body to lower body? What is the breathing protocol? What's your cadence need to be? And what I want to do is I want people to experience that. Instead of just freestyling, you want to have a plan. And so I want to teach something where they can not only learn something, but then experience it.
awesome. And they're going to be able to leave, essentially, help their members, help potential members improve their Hyrox, which is going to be a value add of their box, help them generate more revenue, keep members longer, like you said. So if they come to AffiliateCon, they get to learn from the best, improve their business. If they're a coach, they can maybe do some private training. If they're a member, they're going to get better.
Yep.
All good reasons to come to AffiliateCon.
Yeah.
Crazy speaker lineup. Chris will be one of the keynotes there. If you guys are interested, we'll put the link for registration here, 24 through 26 October, right outside of Dallas. If you want a little bit more value, DM us. Hit us up on Instagram. Just put AffiliateCon in the message, and we'll send you something on top of that.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah,
I really
you.
appreciate
As
it.
always.
Thank you.
Nobody drops more knowledge than Mr. Chris Hinshaw. See you guys.
Thanks for checking out this episode of the Best Hour of Their Day podcast. We appreciate you listening and choosing to have us help you in your passion for coaching and affiliate ownership. You can find more episodes just like this on all podcast platforms. If you're interested in learning more, you can reach out to us on any social media platforms, or you can visit www.besthouroftheirday.com to book a call. If you found this episode helpful for you, please share it so that we can help other coaches and affiliate owners to help build a bigger and stronger CrossFit community. Thanks for listening.